What's up, Mission Pro Wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of Mission Pro Wrestling's Unmatched, where we delve into the archives and explore some of the exciting pay-per-views and matches from years past. Tonight we have a special. We're doing a special dive into a match from Run It Back, and that's we're going to be covering Maddie Rankowski versus Jasmine Allure. And joining me tonight is my favorite person, my favorite co-host, Trenda. What's up, Trenda?
Hi guys.
How are things out on the West
Hi.
Coast?
Everything out here is great. The weather was pretty bad this week, but we got some sunshine today, so that was a good change. And yeah,
You
just
guys had snow.
I mean, hey, climate is changing. I remember when they said it never rained in Southern California. Now it's just like we might have a tornado next week. Who knows?
I hope not. Oh my goodness.
Ah.
Well, yeah, it's been the weather's been all over the place here out in the Queen City in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had warm weather today. It was very cold a couple days ago. It's going to be warm and rainy, and then cold again, and then warm again. It's a mess. So
That's a lot.
when it decides what it wants to do, well, I'll be happy. Hopefully, it's warm. So tonight as I mentioned, we're gonna talk about Maddie Rankowski versus Jasmine Allure from Run It Back. We covered the main event of this pay-per-view last week, which was the crowning of our first Mission Pro Wrestling champion in La Rosa Negra, which was just a really cool match. But the whole pay-per-view is really interesting. I recommend folks go back to Title Match Network and watch it. We have some of the matches up on our YouTube channel as well. As we're starting to head into Edge of Glory on April 22nd, I think it's interesting to start to look at all of the history that we've seen between some of these competitors, especially Maddie and Jasmine. And this goes all the way back, to the first pay-per-view where Maddie wrestled Jazz. And even in this match, the match from Tournament Out of Hell, we saw Jasmine attack Maddie with a title belt, causing her to lose her opportunity at the inaugural title. So there's a lot of history between these two. There's a lot of animosity. One of the things I thought was really, really interesting about this is at this point in time, Maddie was a huge crowd favorite. She still is. She's had a bit of an attitude change over the last couple of years. But in this instance, during this match in this pay-per-view, Maddie was clearly the good guy. Jasmine was clearly the hated bad guy, and they got appropriate responses. So before we dive into the match a little bit, what were your thoughts on this rivalry as it's continuing?
Oh, as a rivalry, it's a beautiful story. I feel like, it's a continuation each time that we see them on the next pay-per-view. And just this particular match in itself, you can tell that there's history between these two women. I mean, they come out, they show it in the way they look at each other, they show it in the ring, and yeah, like you said, if whoever has not seen this particular match, it as a continuation of telling a long-term story of the rivalry between these two, this is definitely one of the greatest ones. So I really enjoyed it, and looking forward to all the things that they come to do in the future together.
Yeah, and it's been a roller coaster between these two. And Jasmine seems to have this attitude about her where she feels she's either better than everyone else or she is just not the kind of person. We saw at the last pay-per-view, we saw her turn on Bougie Reality. That didn't go
Yeah.
well.
Well, we
Um,
both have our
yeah, and
opinions pertaining
we
to
could
that. We talked about that before, as far as that particular scenario. I had a little difference of opinion in that just because of that scenario. However, right now with this situation here, Jasmine definitely has I don't wanna say I'm better, but there's a confidence about her that I like. I mean, it's a aura around her, and it's nothing wrong with walking around feeling like, I can do this, and that's what I'm here for, and especially if you can back it up. So, I mean, I don't think necessarily like she's, better than everybody, but that confidence is there.
Look, I don't have any issue with confidence or having a sense of self. Her tactics leave something to be desired. They're
Well,
questionable at
if
best.
we could go into that too, but just like Holiday said, hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win.
I don't know that I would take life advice from Holodead in this instance. Not as far as this goes. All right, so let's jump into the match. And, right from the outset, like I mentioned, Maddie comes out to a very, very positive, very overwhelming response from the crowd. Again, the Mission Pro wrestling crowds are loud, they're very vocal, they have their favorites, and you know right away who they are. And in this match, it was definitely Maddie.
Definitely.
Actually, Jasmine came out first, and Jasmine was booed out of the building. Like, it was loud.
A loud boo.
A boo. Yeah. But even as, and what was I thought was really cool about this too is our special guest referee was Vert Vixen for this match.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
Bert was also in the, competition to, be inaugural champion as well, so
yeah, she was in the tournament. We covered her match early on as well. And she would go on to to have other matches in Mission Pro. I think she's over on WoW currently. Another big talent that's come through the Mission Pro doors. But right away, Jasmine attacked Maddie just as the bell was about to ring. There was no hesitation. It was just foot to the floor. Here we go. Physicality right away. There was no posturing. There was no lockup. It was just throw all that out the window. We're just going to beat the crap out of each other until somebody wins. That was the attitude that I felt in the first couple minutes of this match.
First couple of minutes, I think that was the attitude through the whole match. However, Jasmine did come up and she hit Maddie from behind instantly, as soon as the bell rang, which is to Maddie's bad because you don't turn your back on your opponent. You got to keep your eye on what's going on. So yeah, and at that point in time, it was just lots of fist throwing.
Yeah.
Lots of fist throwing.
Yeah, we're
Like
gonna
you
get into
said.
that. We're gonna get into that because right away, Maddie, who is a taller, stronger competitor, she has long legs, long arms. She has more of a reach, more of a
Mhm.
competitive advantage when it comes to that. Right away, she used that advantage with her strikes, with her kicks. She even started with a flip, sending Jasmine over. Leveraging that height. So you right away knew that Jasmine was going to have to come up with something new, something interesting to overcome that advantage.
Well, yeah, Maddie did do that flip over, but that to me, that it what that did was just initiate two women in that ring starting to roll around consistently, and I mean closed fist punching. Just it seemed like for a good minute and a half they were consistently just rolling around in that ring, striking each other with hard blows like. I, it was actually just a striking match. I mean, I felt like somebody was going to get knocked out at any point in time, and just the match could have been over just from the blows they were giving each other.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Matthew, I see Neil, I see Pepe, I see JD. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And Pepe points out we're all just side characters in a Maddie Rankowski world. She's got a new we're all side characters in a main character world t-shirt out. Go to Maddie's socials and check that out. It's a pretty cool. I think it's got sort of a Nintendo font. It's pretty neat.
Ooh,
May have to get one.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, sounds great.
oh, I see Mrs. Front Row. I didn't see your comment. There it is. It was not on my screen until just now. See, there she is. um, so
Oh yeah.
so talking about those strikes right in the opening couple minutes of this match, opening minute of the match, they get into a sort of a ground and pound situation where they were reversing and each taking turns in that dominant position, just raining strikes on the other one. And it was,
Yes.
I mean, the strike count in this match is insane. It must be insane. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Um, and in right away, you had loud "Let's go, Maddie" chants.
Yes,
Clearly, the
yes.
crowd was behind Maddie. And then, but Jasmine figured out, as most competitors do at her level, when facing a larger competitor or a taller competitor, you need to chop the legs out. You need to bring them down to size. And she did that several times during the match. And the psychology around that is important because to get offense on someone that has the reach on you, you've got to bring them down to your level. And she did that. And in a moment, she was using her leverage to get these elbow strikes in on Maddie
Mm.
to the back of the head and the back of the neck,
Oh my
really,
goodness.
really wearing her down.
Oh my goodness. So those strikes, yes. When she I believe she grabbed her left arm
Yeah,
and proceeded to I can't even count. At one point I tried to count. I kind of watched it twice. I lost count. Like she hit her at least 9 or 10 times in the back of the head and in the back of the neck. Like to the point where it was almost crippling. It was like a the black combat cub beatings that Daniel Bryan and Cesaro or Claudio, excuse me, gives everyone. So yeah, those were some vicious blows to the back of the head.
it's funny you mention that because in that moment she had Jasmine had Maddie. Maddie was sort of bent over, and Jasmine was raining down those elbows. But later in the match, we'd see her use that same tactic to get Maddie in an uncomfortable
Mhm.
situation, and she attacked Maddie with those forearms. And I think Holiday mentioned she was counting along, and then they lost count. But I went back and watched. It was 13 strikes,
Wow.
13 forearms to the back of the head and the back of the neck.
Wow.
And you could see Maddie kept trying to recover. She kept trying to, regain her height, but Jasmine just kept hitting her, knocking her down to her knees.
But to your point earlier, though, the way like there is really no technical wrestling in this match. I mean, no high flying, no, trying to show these two ladies do not like each other. They did everything they did in this match was just physical blows. I mean, in every punch that they did to each other, you saw them give everything they got to try to like I said, I thought someone could have been knocked out at any moment, and everything was almost a face punch or a back of the neck punch or a head punch, or I mean it was just so physical. I'm like, wow, it altogether a hell of a fight, because that's what it was. It wasn't a match, it was a fight.
It was. And so after the end of that sequence, when Jasmine had Maddie down on her knees trying to recover, Jasmine runs across the ring, springboards back into a basement drop kick that just levels Maddie,
Yeah.
really utilizing her strength and her kicks all at once to keep Maddie down on the ground. And Maddie was frustrated. You could tell on her face that she was getting frustrated, not being able to recover and mount an offense or even a defense in this case.
Yeah.
But then Jasmine decided she was going to go up top and get a little full of herself and try something a little fancy with an elbow drop. But that gave Maddie the time that she needed to recover and roll out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that point in time, that was pretty much the first time that Maddie was able to not only gain a little offense, but obtain it for a while. Because at that point in time, she was able to really kind of get Jasmine where she wanted to have her in the ring, and just really start dominating and trying to chop her down and at least bring her down a little bit. Because the way for the majority of the match, Jasmine pretty much was dominating. I mean, you can see Maddie at certain points in time trying her best to gain just a little bit of offense in there, but um, to your point earlier, Jasmine had to find a way to bring this bigger, more stronger woman and opponent down in Maddie, and she was doing it like by chopping down the leg, like just doing brutal hits all the time to the face and to the back of the head, and so this was just that first point where Maddie had an opening and took advantage of it and made her way back into the match.
Yeah, and she did. She was able to get Jasmine in the corner and execute this big crossbody splash, which took Maddie to the outside of the ring. And as she's re-entering the ring with one leg on the ropes, she does this beautiful snapmare from this position, which is really, really complicated to execute. But she does it with precision, into a face buster. She does a
Yes.
snapmare
Oh
into a
my
face
goodness.
buster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maddie's face busters are insane because she has such long arms and legs. She gets so much leverage on the snap to the ground. It's pretty impressive to watch.
That itself was a beautiful combination move right there. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yep.
that face buster was deadly.
Yeah. Well, and then I think Maddie decided she was going to try something from the top rope and didn't quite get her footing.
Yeah.
Jasmine was able to shake the trees and get her. She took quite a fall from the top
Yeah,
rope,
she
just right on
busted
her
her
knee.
knee. She hit that knee hard going down.
Yeah.
I was a little worried at that point, but she rolled off. She rolled over, rolled off, and kind of shook it off, and got back in the match. But that knee injury looked real bad.
Yeah, and as she was recovering from that, Jasmine grabbed the title belt. This match was for it was a championship match for another promotion's title. And Jasmine, I think she had it in her head that she was going to use the title as a weapon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, Vert was all over that. She wasn't having any of that in her match.
Mm-hmm.
So Vert Vixen goes to take that title away from Jasmine, and Maddie capitalized on it for a roll up victory, which
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting because Maddie didn't use her reality check, her patented reality check scissor kick as a finisher. She was able to get the victory
Well,
from Jasmine.
Well, I think she took that out, like you said. She saw an opportunity with Jasmine having a title belt and trying to do something dirty and tricky behind her back with the referee there, but Bert was there to, make sure law and order was in the ring. And then at that same time, like we said, she just came down off the ropes and she hurt her knee. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily know how bad that knee injury is too. That she was limping pretty bad after the match. So with that in itself, she saw the opportunity, and then you saw in the roll up, she pressed her down hard. She tried to put everything she had in that roll up for the pin. So yeah, yeah, she just figured it out a way to get the victory without probably injuring herself a lot more, because she was hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, and you could see the frustration on Jasmine's face. I mean, I think she thought that with the amount of offense that she got throughout the
Oh,
match, that she had
yeah,
a good chance of winning, but it just didn't go her way. And her desire to use that title as a weapon, it backfired on her.
that was her downfall.
It
Yeah, it was her
happens,
fault.
right? She should have played by the rules, which would be a
Okay.
common thread.
It's gonna be a common subject with her. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she is top tier, but
Hey.
not always on the up and up. So all in all, a really interesting match, and we brought this match to you guys tonight because it's another chapter in the fascinating story between these two competitors that started way back at the beginning, at the origins of Mission Pro Wrestling, and continues to this day, like we mentioned to the last pay-per-view. So stay tuned. Who knows what's going to happen or how these two are going to interact? We don't know, but I don't believe. I have a feeling this isn't the end of the story. That's for
Definitely
sure.
not over. Definitely not
No.
over.
And speaking of the next pay-per-view on April 22nd, we have Edge of Glory, April 22nd, and tickets are available at missionprowrestling.com. Front row tickets are sold out. Yes, I sold out. Second row is mostly sold out. Second row VIP is close to selling out. And so if you are wanting to get to that show, get your tickets now. It's going to be a full house that night, and it's going to be pretty exciting. Obviously, we've announced our main event. Genocide, our champion, is defending against, a pretty heavy duty competitor in Hyan. And
Hmm.
Hyan is well known on the independent circle. She's been everywhere. She's a veteran in the business and an incredibly physical, I would say violent competitor. Like, this is going to be a challenge for Genocide, even with her size and strength and skill. I'm really looking forward to this match. So
Ooh.
um, stay tuned. There's going to be more. We'll talk more about that in the weeks coming. One thing I wanted to mention was I wanted to give a shout out to our very own Thunder Rosa. Today is the 1 year anniversary of her winning her AEW Women's World Championship. We were fortunate enough to go to San Antonio and be in the room. Myself, Mrs. Front Row, our friend Tony Justice, who is in the chat, and of course, Brian and the family. Everyone was there. Mission Pro family was there. Emily and just friends and family in the room. But it was a sold out arena. It was also the same arena. Freeman Coliseum was the same arena where Thunder competed in her first MMA fight, professional fight. Same
Wow.
same building, which was kind of cool. Um, to say that it was loud is an understatement.
Well,
It was pretty insane.
I saw it on pay-per-view. And yes, I jumped up out of my seat excited for the situation and so glad that, she was able to make that accomplishment and achieve that in AEW, especially in AEW. I really wanted that for her because I really felt like she was, to me, really the first champion there that really made sense. And I don't really know how to explain that. I mean, I know Riho was the first initial AEW champion. Then they have had Nyla, and there's been some others. But at the same time, it was like when Thunder became champion, it just the way she interacted, just her thrill for life and for promoting women and just promoting adversity and just it just felt like a champion that represented me. So that was a great moment for me.
That's
Um,
cool. And
having
I do want to thank you, Tony Justice, reminding me that Garza was with us as well. We have a great picture. I don't have it with me right here, but we have a great picture of the group of us. Thunder, Garza has his face paint on, and
oh
it was really
yeah,
cool. Yeah, and
right.
I think Garza was there with his daughter as well. But I do have I have a couple of pictures just to share with you guys that
Let's see.
Mrs. Front Row and I took. Here's a shot of Thunder winning the title, and a very broken Britt Baker, which she had it coming.
Aw.
So here's Thunder celebrating. And credit to my wife, got this great picture of Thunder with her dad and Anakin post
Awesome.
match, and here's a picture that I took of the title after that night after the
Wow,
match.
so close to the title.
Yeah, well, I have a picture of me holding the title, but that's not really important right now. But
Wow.
if you look right here, you'll see the blood still on the title. It hadn't been cleaned yet. So, and
I'm all leaning in.
we all gathered some of the confetti. So, all in all, it was a
Awesome.
really fun night, and we were very very happy to be there in that moment. Yeah, Mrs. Brent says there was actually blood on it.
Ah,
Yeah, so it was a really fun night. Hoping to see her come back to the ring at some point soon, and she's killing it on commentary. Our very own Sam from Cleveland has been listening to her Spanish commentary and just loving it. So very cool
awesome.
stuff. So let's dive into some of the news in women's wrestling this week. Oddly
Okay.
enough, there's not a ton of stuff because across the major promotions, there were limited matches this week. There was a lot of backstage stuff, but I wanted to mention um, on SmackDown last week, Charlotte and Shotzi had a match. It was fine. It was a good match. But the important part of this was post match. Rhea Ripley came out to confront her, and for a WrestleMania match, these are two people that I want to see have a
Yes.
rematch because this is not the same Rhea Ripley who faced Charlotte the first time at WrestleMania a few years ago.
Yes, I totally agree. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm even hoping Ripley wins because this is gonna be something great. Like the first time that they met, it was a younger, fresher. Ripley still trying to gain her feet in this new environment. And then not only that, the thing that's really, really a situation, whether you guys remember it or not, is how they used to actually tease Rhea and tell her she was a little Charlotte. Now I know that had to piss her off on so many levels. Nobody wants to be the little shadow or the little reminder of someone else, especially a Charlotte Flair, as pronoun as she is, and even that name in itself. So no, no, no. I think Rhea is coming this time with something to prove, and she's gonna prove it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. And that's just over 2 weeks away. WrestleMania is coming up pretty quickly, and a lot of our friends are going to be there. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. There's a Busted Open party. I know my friend Sam Roberts is doing a live event at the Comedy Store Wednesday before WrestleMania. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of cool stuff going on. That
I
whole
got a couple
event
of
is
things I'm going to during that week. I would definitely
okay.
be at the Busted Open party. I'm definitely going to Whiskey a Go Go. I got me a couple of signs ready. Got my California chapter shirt ready. So I'll definitely be there. So yeah, I'm gonna be
Awesome.
representing.
Yeah, we always appreciate Busted Open too. They're big supporters of Mission Pro Wrestling, and um, always. So on Raw, this so this is okay. I'm a massive fan of Bianca Belair. I think she's one of the biggest stars in the industry. She's an unbelievable athlete, and sometimes they miss. And here's what I mean by that. She had a match against Chelsea Green, and she beat Chelsea, as you would expect. After the match, um, Carmella came out, and Asuka came out to save Bianca from a beatdown, right? So now you fast forward after that, they show a match graphic where next week it's going to be Asuka and Bianca versus Carmella and
Chelsea and
Chelsea.
Carmella.
Like, why do they do that? I don't
But,
know.
I mean, it's like wrestling 101 to make that happen. It has always happened before a major main event. So I have no answers to why, but I mean, it was predictable and it was predicted and it happened.
So we know we're getting Bianca versus Asuka at Mania, and that's great. I'm all for that. Like, that's a dream match for anybody. I hope that they continue to continue to let Asuka evolve that character into the more of the Japanese version of her, the evil
Mhm.
Kana, the dark Asuka, whatever you want to call it. I love the presentation, the makeup, all of that's awesome. But there was that moment at the end where they just stared at each other uncomfortably, and it went on way too long.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know if she was gonna, spray her, or I didn't know if they.
I don't know.
I just didn't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, so everybody in the chat, give us your picks for these WrestleMania matches as we're talking about them.
Ah,
Charlotte and Rhea, Asuka and Bianca.
what
Over on
about you? What's your pick for Oscar and Bianca? What you think gonna happen? Think they gonna put Oscar over?
No, I think Bianca retains. Because personally, like, I would like Asuka to just run through the division, like just attack people backstage, at the mall, at their homes. I don't care. I want to see I want to see the violent version that I know she's capable of, because I've seen it. I've seen it in Japan. I've seen it in other promotions. Even when she was NXT champion, she was very, very physical and very aggressive.
Oh, I loved her NXT champion. I thought that was an NXT period. She was great.
Yeah.
I agree, Tony. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
So over on AEW, there was actually some interesting stuff going on, and I've been kind of critical over on the Nation's Corner of the women's division, not from a talent perspective, but from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
Well, not this week, but last week we saw Ruby Soho cut an amazing promo telling the story of the Outcasts versus the OG original. We hear stories
Mhm.
about there being locker room chaos and whatever goes on behind the scenes, we don't know, but like, it feels real. Her promo felt very real. So
Yeah.
this week they came out, Ruby, Saraya, and Tony Storm came out officially as the Outcasts. That's their
Yep,
which
that's the
is
official
cool.
crew.
Okay, hang on. I have to call out Mongrovian Mike in the chat. Goldberg is not in that match. I'm so sorry. Goldberg.
Okay. I'm
I can't even. I've lost the ability to even. So
um,
I
okay.
Neil's picking Rhea and Asuka. Okay,
All
interesting.
right.
Raymond's
So for
picking,
Neil, there's gonna be two turnovers.
yeah,
All
two
right.
titles
All
changing
right.
hand. And then let's see, Raymond's picking Bianca and Rhea. Good picks. Those are my picks as well. Most and less. These are men's matches. We're covering women's wrestling here. What are we doing? Watch the product.
Read the room.
So I'm really enjoying this story with the Outcasts. It was weird because the Outcasts were in the ring cutting promo, and then Team 3D, Team DMD came out. I wish it was Team 3D.
Really?
Um,
That would have been
that would have
better.
had
But okay.
very different. Okay, well
A
we'll book
table
that some
instead of
other
a
night.
pipe.
But then Riho, Sky Blue, and Willow came out to make the save, and now we have three factions in the ring, and it got kind of messy and confusing. So hopefully they'll tell more of that story on Rampage and on Dynamite next week, because I'm kind of confused. I like the two teams facing off, and that simple story of the newcomers versus the originals feels real. It's simple. It's effective.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
keep
I
going with
feel
that.
like it's been done before, but they're actually making it interesting. It's a story I'm willing to keep investing in for once. And AEW.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, I mean, I have a feeling based on what we've seen on TV that this reality show, the All Access or whatever it's called, the AEW reality show is probably going to play into this story at some point, just based on the clips that we've seen.
Hey,
So,
yeah.
um, but we also saw Jade win again very decisively against Nicole Matthews, who, by the way, just recently returned
Oh.
to. She just returned to wrestling last weekend at an indie show. She'd been away for a long time, so it was crazy to see her return, and then to be on Dynamite this week, even in like a squash match against
Watch match.
Jade.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was cool to see her on TV. Um, but the important part here is that we saw the debut of the recently signed Taya Valkyrie. Now,
Yes, yes,
I want to
yes.
get your opinion on this because we've been trying to sort of fantasy book and like who could possibly show up on the scene to pose a credible threat to Jade. And when they were standing toe to toe in that ring,
Uh-huh.
Taya fits the bill.
Yes, I agree. Just the idea. So when I saw Taya come out there from backstage, I was like, yes, I see it and I believe it and I want it and I want it. And I don't even know um actually yet in what angle I want it, because I actually kind of like the fact that Jade has this streak going. I mean, it's a great accomplishment for her to have under her belt, and almost in a sense of like, and don't get me wrong, do not get me wrong, I am not in no shape or form comparing Jade to the Undertaker. I'm just saying
Okay, I'm glad you said that.
I love the way the streak just kept going though and going. It just became something, really miraculous that no one else can beat. And then all of a sudden, well, we know what happened after. But anyway, just the idea of Jade having that, like that dominance is really great. But the thing about it is there hasn't been a competitor on AEW in quite so long for us to even imagine her having some real competition for. So when Taya came from backstage and she came out and she stood up there in front of Jaden, and then she planted, who was that? Who did she plan in with Jade's move? I can't think of her name right now. I'm blanking. But anyway, she used Jade's move in front of her and basically showing dominance to her. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's finally something that's believable. That's
Agreed.
how I feel. It's believable.
Agreed. So it's nice to see them switching things up. And I also wanted to mention that they announced that AEW hired Sarah Stock as a trainer and a producer behind the scenes. Sarah is an incredibly well respected trainer, and spent time, I believe, in NXT as a trainer. So I think that's a big get for them.
Great
You know,
plus.
just
Yeah.
so hopefully she can continue, or she can begin to influence what we see on TV, because their roster is full of very talented people, and
Man, there's
when used
so many
properly,
talented, like you said, with Willow and now Taya, and then even Jade has even improved so much over the last year. You know, from I'm not saying she's great, but she has really improved. You can tell that she's working hard to try to get to where she needs to be, or at least to. She's a lot better. That's just all I can say. She's a lot better, but
yeah, you can definitely see the
But
improvement.
yeah, you can see the improvement, but yeah, it's a lot of women over there that really could use some great stories, some more screen time, some more in ring time, and someone to help them out, just build up their characters. There's a lot of great women over there.
Agreed. And so we want to give a huge shout out over on Impact. We want to give a huge shout out to someone who was a big part of Mission Pro for many pay-per-views and many matches, and that's the mother effing king. Kylan King is officially signed with Impact Wrestling, and
Congratulations.
I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Yes, and then the thing about that is kind of opposite of what we were just saying. Impact has a great women's locker room. Like their knockouts division is awesome, and I think Kylie's gonna come over there, and you're gonna see some great stories, and she has plenty of opponents to match up with and tell some great stories with. So that I'm totally looking forward to that, because Impact is doing it as far as where women should be.
Yeah, and I think it was like maybe 4 years ago. Mrs. Front Row and I saw Kylan a few times here in Charlotte at what used to be the promotion Queens of Combat. They're not a promotion anymore, but they used to run some great shows. And we saw people like Chris Statlander and Sue Young and Kylan King and all those people. But Kylan was a star even back then. Um, this was before the red hair. This was before,
Mhm.
the current presentation of her. But you could see it right away. And we've obviously seen her flourish at Mission Pro and NWA and other places. So I'm super happy for her. I hope she just goes out
Yes.
there and kills it. So huge shout out to her. So just a reminder that our sponsorships are open for the April 22nd Edge of Glory pay-per-view. There's sponsorships for individual wrestlers, for matches, for the show. If you'd like to sponsor the whole show, email missionprowrestling@gmail.com. And again, get your tickets at missionprowrestling.com. We'll be live on Title Match Network that night. I think the bell time is 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be an awesome show. Anything else, Trenda, before we let folks go?
No, I think that was it. I mean, it's been a good week. Looking forward to seeing what's happening next week, and then, like you said, we have WrestleMania coming up. A lot of great shows is going to be revolving around WrestleMania. Support independent wrestling. A lot of independent shows are going to be around the Inglewood, Hollywood, LA area during that time. So yeah, I'll be around at some shows too. Let you guys know where I go
Nice. Be on location.
on location.
Nice. Well, where can people find you on the socials?
Oh, at Instagram, it's Habit Forming, all lowercase. And then on Twitter is Habit with a capital H and MN at the end, Habit Forming. Yes, that's me.
Awesome. And I am PW Front Row on all the social platforms. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel at Mission Pro Wrestling's YouTube. There's a lot of new content that's been posted. Mondays, there are matches posted every Monday. Tuesday nights, Emily and Veda Scott host on a mission. They've been having some great guests over
Some
there.
great interviews. Yes.
Yeah, really fun stuff. So check those out. And there's a lot of matches posted on the YouTube channel as well. So give that a look see. And you can find me on Saturday nights on the Nation's Corner, 7 p.m. Eastern, with our group of hosts, Tony Justice and Deb Housen and Mongrovian Mike, and sometimes Trenda and a bunch of other people. We have a rotating cast of characters over there, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of interviews that have been posted on our channel. So give us a look. Thanks everybody for joining. We're gonna see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.